hit it in a break. So like,
Just let us know. Let them know where they're at.
Hello. Oh, good morning, everybody. Welcome. Thank you all for showing up so early. Yeah, that's a real thing. That's a real deal. So
Max was hiding under the tables earlier.
I was sleeping on the chairs. It was nice. I would recommend it.
I told him he needed to stay down there and crawl out when we started, after we started.
But I spoiled the surprise.
He was
Surprise, I'm here. So we've got a little video to start us off, and then we're going to do some introductions. But yeah, can we get the...
Sure.
Yeah.
We ready?
It's our secret.
Here at Rooster Teeth, I get a lot of questions on how we make the production magic really happen. But you know, the answer is simpler than you may think.
You're a dirty little ghost, aren't you? Yeah, possess me. Possess me so hard. Huh.
So let's start over at this end and work our way back over here. Tell us who you are and what you do.
I'm Travis. I'm the construction manager.
Woo! He does all the building.
Alex Stoder, our director.
Yeah.
Ashlyn Fielder, art director.
Stephen Fay, I'm art director.
Max Kremke, president of Rooster Teeth.
I wish. Stephanie Art department coordinator.
And I am Marcus Laporte, the production designer of Rooster Teeth.
Excellent. So we have a whole bunch of fun things to show you. But I'll start it off with, let's talk a little bit about what we've been doing this year, because we've all been working on a lot of stuff. There's been a lot of crazy things happening. Travis, I'm gonna start back down there again. What have you been doing this year? Nothing? Just hanging around?
Yeah, I've just been sitting in my office a lot lately, letting others do the work now. A lot of projects. I guess we're going to talk about them in a minute. We got immersions.
Yeah. Did anybody do the Fortnite immersion? Yeah, we got some people. Yeah. That was Alex's. Tell us about it.
Oh boy, they really threw me at the wolves with that one. Because, you know, I'm the newest member of the art department, and they decided, well, let's see what he can do. And it was a lot of fun. And I don't think it would have been possible without the volunteers that play the zombies. We know that we can do the art, we can do the builds, we can do the filming and the edits and the post. But without you guys that showed up, could not have been done. So big hand to you guys.
Thank you. So what's it like being new at Rooster Teeth? How are you adapting?
Well, it's different actually because I'm the oldest of the crew, and I felt compelled to put on my door, on my tag, senior citizen art director.
I made a joke with Alex one day, and he thought it was too good, so it kind of just.
It
sort of
had to
stuck.
play on and be forever an ongoing joke.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not much older than
Yeah, you're not.
Marcus, just
We have a
a
pretty
little
good,
bit.
We have a pretty good spread, so
Yeah.
we have all the generations covered, I think.
Yeah, I'm 21. We all know that. Forever 21. And everything else
Forever,
is
yeah.
unimportant.
But to go back to the original question, it's been great. There's so many talented people. I mean, from bottom, interns all the way up to the top, and it's just amazing. Personally, I feel that in my creative career, I got a big jolt just being around these guys, and motivates me even more.
Cool. Well, thanks, Alex. That was good.
Sweet.
Here.
So we have a little
so we have-
presentation. Adorable.
And so yeah. You did great.
The production
Don't worry
design
about it.
of
We had lots
Rooster
of other things to do. So obviously, we're company wide. We do pretty much a little bit for everyone. Anyone from any department at Rooster Teeth can come to the art department and make a request. So if it has anything to do with any of the live action shooting that we do, or shenanigans over in AH, or live action, or should I say broadcast stuff, we do that as well. So there's quite a bit of, and we have a new member, we have a new player entering the game.
Sorry.
This is amazing.
So this is Erica Slay. She does all our costume design and all our wardrobe coordination. So if someone's wearing it, it's probably figured out by her. And little Owen is
Who
with
is
her.
actually our chief financier and
Yeah.
owner of the company. Shout out to Owen.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of decisions.
Hurry up, Owen. Can we just work for you already?
Let's get to it, guys.
But yeah, so the art department started off in live action and since sort of formed their own department since everybody kind of wanted to participate and have a piece of that. So yeah, we do a little bit of everything.
Just what we've done this year.
Yeah. Yeah, this year.
So a lot of times what we do to get things going is we do lookbooks and imagery sort of references and, like trying to get people excited about what we want to do, right? We can talk and write and read all day about what we do, but if we don't see it or get a taste of what we're really doing, then no one really gets excited. So we usually have to generate some visuals. So we start off with pulling stuff off Google Images and referencing our actors with certain characters that might be in the game, trying to do a fit like that. So this is the kind of thing that we would generate to send to the client or send to an agency or circulate internally just to try to get everybody on the same page and sort of in the same ballpark. A lot of times words can be used interchangeably. People, like if I say modern, that could mean a lot of things, right? Everyone in this room probably has a different parameters for what modern is. So instead of using words, I work with visuals because this is the easiest way for them to go, I want that. And you go, okay, this is great. So, so yeah, this is an immersion we did, which was for Mass Effect, and it had a lot of stunts, and it was pretty intensive. We made a lot of weapons and a lot of costumes. We had no, it's okay. No worries. No, we can move on, actually. Yeah.
Steven.
Yeah.
Oh, this is day 5.
No spoilers.
This new season of day 5 actually took us to West Texas desert, and it was amazing, but it was also just brutal. The weather out there was horrible. Anyway, we built all this stuff, and then just that all stood for about an hour, and then a giant dust storm came and knocked it all down. It was, oh God, it was so sad.
He's having flashbacks.
Yeah.
Well, and there was nothing we could really do to help you. I just remember
Yeah.
being in Austin, and you guys were satellite crew out hours away.
Yeah. Oh, I remember. I called you on the phone, and I was
Yeah.
practically crying at
Yeah.
the time. It was just like there was just nothing we could do.
Yeah. So I mean, you guys had stakes in the ground, bull pricks that were they like 24 inches?
Oh, we had
Yeah,
like
chains.
3.5 foot long steel rods in the ground. We had like aircraft cable that had snapped. It was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The wind pretty much made fun of us, basically.
Yeah.
It was not.
Yeah, we lost a whole day of filming
Yeah.
that day.
So, well, and then because of it, a lot of the filming ended up being done in a studio.
Yeah, we decided to kind of scrap
So-
that idea and actually just build the whole set.
Yeah, you can go back
inside-
one.
inside the
Well, there you go.
studio.
So you can see on the right-hand photo, there's a blue screen in there, and we, I shouldn't say we. It was really Steven and all his crew recreated a huge, expansive, set of tents and blankets, just all sorts of little small areas and.
And how much sand did you put in there? 'Cause there was a lot.
There was like 4 or 5 truckloads full of sand that we brought in.
Yeah.
We actually cut down some bushes while we were out there and brought some rocks and just kind of brought the desert back with us. Set it up inside of a
So yeah, so
airplane hangar.
and this is one of those things where you have to try to figure out what makes the most sense. And usually you wouldn't think that creating a set on a blue screen and that expansive and that big and that involved would make sense. But when you really don't have any control over the weather and it's the only shooting time that you have, and if the weather isn't cooperating, then you have to go inside. So.
Ended up working out better, I think.
Yeah, it looked amazing. I just remember walking around there being really impressed by how authentic it felt. The lighting department also did a really good job of having a singular light source that truly felt like the sun. So when you got in there, all the shadows started from one side and went one direction. There wasn't like a lot of lights in there. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, they set up a giant rag on the ceiling and bounced a light off of it. It was pretty cool.
It was pretty great. Sure. So broadcast, you guys probably are familiar with fan service. Fan service is actually taken off a arcade that is in Japan, a specific one, and it's meant to mimic the walled city in Kowloon. And this is a look that's pretty fun, and it's the kind of thing that you see in a lot of anime, and it's animated. But we were trying to make the set feel somewhat like it was in a cartoon, but at the same time feeling like an authentic sort of set. So you can move on one. And this is kind of where we landed. I'm sure a lot of you guys are probably familiar with some of this stuff, but I just figured I'd give you a little background. So you can see Heroes and Halfwits didn't even have a name for a long time. So when we did this, I pretty much, I was just, the D&D show lookbook was just sort of baselined there. I was like, well, what do I call this thing? I'm the first person to sort of, concept this idea. And a lot of this stuff are pictures that I took from a furniture store that's in Austin. And it ended up being really expensive. We couldn't afford it, but we built some stuff in-house. Travis did a beautiful job on that table. It looks pretty great.
And also the throne chair was hilarious because I remembered.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I saw it at like this, like just randomly months ago was at this furniture store, and I was like, they have a throne. Whatever. And then it's like, we think we need a throne. And it was like, I know where one is. We got a great deal on it. And then Erica did some upholstering on it.
I did.
Made it like tall. Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Learned some new things.
What?
Thank you.
Yeah, Frank, it kind of dwarfed Frank. He's like, I don't know. He got in it, and it was like, the chair was way up here, and his head was down low. And so we built a fairly big pad that we reupholstered that went on it to sort of boost him up and get him to the right height. So, let's see. So this is something you guys are probably aware of, the Tuesday Night Game Fight. You guys, this is a new show that's coming out, and it's sort of like a 2-on-2 video game kind of setup. And these are some 3D models that Alex Toder here produced for us. At this point, whenever we are trying to concept for an idea, a 3D modeling is usually a pretty big part of what we're doing. It's the easiest way that I can produce a photorealistic visual for someone. Photoshop would be the next best thing, but this is nice because you can rotate it and look at it from any angle, and you can change the lighting, and you can change the colors. It's pretty great. So this is kind of where we started. The top left is a top-down. You can see it's a lot like a MMA or WWE or something like that. It's kind of like a wrestling motif, lighting grid, trusses, colorful lighting, high contrast stuff.
This one's the coolest.
Yeah, this one's pretty cool. This is for Glitch Please. I'm sure you guys are also familiar with this. We started with 3 different sections. Basically, the show's on a black screen. I'm sure you guys are familiar with like a black box theater kind of a look, which is basically just a black a black box. There's nothing in there. So it's more about providing singular sculptural items and sort of taking sets a little less literal as far as walls go, and trying to incorporate something that looks more like art but still functions as a set piece. So that was kind of the idea for this, and there's a trend of sort of wave walls using plywood without actually skinning them with a surface, and you sort of simulate surface texture using ribbing. So that's kind of the concept here. And you can kind of see in the back there, there's a lot of cut plywood. And Wes, so I can see sitting back there right now, cut a whole bunch of plywood for us for that. And it got to be kind of like a puzzle. It was all these numbers and letters and colors, and I had it very specific and color-coded, and it was kind of a puzzle. So he did a good job. Also, again, it's all about creating visuals. This is for Game Attack. I'm sure you guys are familiar with this. We needed something really simple for these guys. We didn't want, we couldn't afford a huge garish set. It just didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. Sometimes we work with a lot, sometimes we work with a little. So for this, this was actually furniture, I think, that we had from existing projects. I can't remember. I think the couch might have been from RTES, if you guys remember that show.
Big fans.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, you got to use stuff where you can. So the table was something that we actually made for the podcast, but it didn't fit the styling that we chose afterwards. So we had made the table, and we'd had it around, and I felt like this made the most sense for them, and considering that they were going with a purple thing, I was like, oh, well, I think I have something for you guys. And they were like, what do you have? And I was like, well, I have kind of a reject here. It didn't quite match the, another set the right way after we made it, and, we've just been struggling to figure out where to put it. So these guys actually got a lot of sort of odds and ends from other shows, but their look, it turned out really nice. I actually really liked their set, so. This is off topic, and you can see there's sort of the start of it, and everything looks really old and weathered and, like it's been around, but it really did start from scratch here, and Travis did a beautiful job of sort of selecting different woods and keeping finishes cheap where we could and choosing some expensive finishes where they made sense. The mahogany mainly, you can see that those giant 2.5-inch chunk of mahogany front and back. And there are the guys. And that's actually an early version. Look at that table. Go back one. That was some of the experimental episodes. Look at Jeremy. He looks younger. Weird.
He was just a boy then.
Yeah, look at him. Look how little he is. This looks so cute.
Oh, Michael.
And these are some beginnings of RT Podcast before we'd really landed in the right place. And you can see a lot of it's really crude. I was just sort of pulling furniture, and the perspectives are all wrong, and it didn't really matter. It was more about seeing the furniture and the colors and sort of the richness of the space, so to speak. A lot of times it's about creating tone for the people that are trying to understand what you're doing. And that's the hardest thing to convey. So anytime you can give them something to really concretely look at and feel like, oh, that's what it's going to look like, then that's great, because then they can move forward with full confidence. So sure. So here's the Tesla. Brad Bly is a graphic designer that we work with a lot, and an art director we work with. I think he was on for Laser Team 2, and I said, hey, we got this quick project. I was like, we got to do this car, and Bernie's been talking about wrapping his Tesla for a long time, and I think he's finally ready to do it. So we got some references and started working in Illustrator, and we luckily had the graphics guy had already done a car wrap. He does lots of car wraps, I should say. So he had a template already made. So he forwarded me a template in Adobe Illustrator, and all we really had to do was sort of paint on top of it. And then he takes that file and then prints them out in sections of vinyl, and then he sort of layers it on until it looks right. So part of the artistry here is actually in our graphics guy and knowing how to lay it on the car and make it look really good. That was the hardest part. I didn't have to do any of that, so that was great. But Brad did a beautiful job, made things look really painterly. We started off with 3 colors, and these are the options that I gave Bernie. I was like, okay, what color car are you okay with? Because I said if we went with a regular color, then it probably would feel a lot less illustrated. That if it was just a standard neutral or medium range color or a pastel, that it's not gonna work the same, not gonna pop. So I felt like orange and yellow was kind of the sort of semi-accepted car color, even though it's kind of on the fringe of what people like. I felt blue was maybe a little too safe, and if it was a blue, it needed to be a really bright blue. And the purple was kind of like, okay, this is the smack you in the face version, but
I tried to talk him into hot pink. He wouldn't do it.
but yeah, as you can see on the right there, it turned out pretty nice. It does look, the funny thing is when you see that car in person, it sells, but when you're moving or you see the car moving, then the gag is kind of blown. You need that 2D sort of flat effect perspective to really get the right feel. And if you take a nice picture, it works really well. Uh-oh. we gotta cut the stream at least for the stream portion.
That want lots of stuff. So that
With
challenging.
every single person at Rooster Teeth, like all of the talent.
Yes, everyone that works at Rooster Teeth was in it, and that was fun. It was fun.
She's like, it's fun. That's
It was
it.
fun.
I'm just going to say all of them. Laser Team 2 was definitely the most challenging. It was a spaceship, and everything's round in space, so.
No spoilers. We didn't hear anything. What about you?
For me in particular, I think of the Fortnite immersion because I had to match an existing palette, an existing aesthetic that the client expects. So, you have limitations, budget and time constraints. So you try to be as true as possible to what the clients presents as their expectation. And that's pretty, challenging to achieve that. So while it was hard, I'm actually very proud and work with all these guys that really knocked it out of the park. So.
Yeah, and so something Alex is referring to is there's different layers when we do these jobs. Some of them are sponsored, some of them aren't. If they're sponsored, it means there is a client, an agency, full screen, and Rooster Teeth. So there's 4 layers of like bosses. So if you've ever seen Office Space, it's like, oh, I have 8 bosses. It's like, well, we have like 4 whole groups of bosses that all have a different way of thinking. And sometimes the agency and the client don't agree. And sometimes, and we're kind of at the bottom going, you just tell us what you guys like, and here's what we like and what we want to do, and we all have to find a happy medium somewhere. So it always ends up being a challenge. Owen's set dressing in the corner.
Adorable.
Yeah. Nice.
But yeah, Ashlyn, what about you?
I can't think of any specific projects, just getting last-minute requests for things that you can't find locally and trying to get it in enough time.
Well, but also the Christmas short.
What
You made all of that. The merch short, the Christmas short that we
Yeah,
did
what-
at the end of last year. That was
What about it, though?
all of your lush design.
Was that crazier than usual?
It seemed a little bit crazy. It was fun.
I liked it. The living room set, that was fun.
Yeah.
With, like, no money.
At least we had the merch department we could lean on, because it was just like, hey, we need all this stuff. I don't even think they knew what to do with our list. They were like,
Like, give us
we're
everything.
like, we need one of everything in the store.
It did feel good to be the one asking for stuff instead of the one being asked.
Yeah, usually they're like, where's our stuff?
So you can't talk about the wind this time. You got to tell us a different.
No, I think my hardest thing this year is on this is day 5. Really, all I've really done this year is day 5.
How many
Well,
days?
11
How many
Roosters.
days did you work on day 5?
Oh my
Season
God.
2. You totaled it. You told me.
I know. I started on January 9th, and then I ended on, oh God, it was like
May
something. I don't know. It was half my year. It was anyway. No, but the hardest thing I think was we had to do a exploded building. That was one of our sets, and we didn't have a place to do it because Laser Team was in stage 7, and everybody had all the space rented out, and we were just trying to. I was going to build it in a parking lot, and we couldn't even get permission to do that. So I ended up finding an abandoned. Oh God, what it was like a microchip facility. I don't know. It's an old abandoned building, and we ended up just kind of tearing it up. And I found a company that actually demolished old buildings and like office buildings and had them just take the dumpsters they were filling and dropping it off on set. So I just kind of built it like that. I rented an exploded building. Is what I did. I rented
Well,
it
and
from-
they came and picked it up.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. I didn't know you could. I didn't know you could rent garbage. It was pretty cool. Anyway.
Yeah.
That's
So once
the
we
best
figured that
quote
out last
of
minute-
this panel so far. It's like, I didn't know I could rent garbage.
Yeah, for me, it's actually been twice this year that I have randomly fallen into somebody's insane puzzle design, because on 11 Little Roosters, we were about to start filming in 2 days, and then Josh shows up and he's like, "Hey, I've got the puzzle elements for the game that we're doing." It's like 40 pages of very specific graphics that all have to be correct, case sensitive, because if they don't, it all falls apart. And I was like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah.
And then
I also remember making a poster for Jeff's office, I guess, the one with the formula on it, the Vegemite formula.
yeah.
And I did it wrong 100 times, and Max kept coming back, and he's like, "Damn it, Marcus, this has got to be a lowercase c or it's not going to work." And I was just like, "Okay, sorry, I'll
And,
revise
yeah.
this."
Well, and then the escape room. It was funny because we were getting a little bit
No spoilers.
no spoilers, but we were getting a little bit close to RTX, and I was like, well, I don't know, Jack's pretty busy. Maybe I should make the puzzles. I would not have made good puzzles. It would have been Professor Layton and me not friends. Can't do it. Bad at it.
But you were willing to, right?
Well,
And
yeah.
That's kind of like how our department just goes. On Fallout, I think our department ended up writing a good bit of that episode just because we didn't have a lot of direction, and we were already having to come up with the sets and the props, and it was like we just have to interact with these items and like put the guys out there in a sandbox. So sometimes our department ends up sort of writing on the fly and contributing to some of the content really without trying or even thinking. It's just we're trying to come up with solutions to what we're doing, and sometimes it ends up being part of the content. So
Well, and then it was funny because then Jack came up with all of the puzzles, and I was like, these are mean. It was really, really complicated.
yeah, I was
Go
going
to
to say,
it. Next door.
Has anyone in the room done it already? Has anyone done the escape room? A couple people. Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it's actually really Max and Jack did a really nice job together. Jack specifically should get a lot of credit for that room. He put
insane,
he put together
Yeah. It's so funny.
Yeah. So Jack and his dad engineered all the some systems inside the room that are pretty awesome, pretty creative. I could go in detail, but then I'd ruin the room for you. So, but they did some really cool things in there, and I think you guys will enjoy it. So. You guys will have a tendency to shout me out. Instead, you need to shout Max out and Jack specifically. So.
Yeah. Well, and so what was your biggest challenge this year, Marcus?
Oh gosh. I think my biggest challenge is probably I'm just going to use the stand. I don't even care. It was definitely Laser Team 2, and there's not a whole lot we can really talk about it, but it was really intensive. Our shooting schedule was really short. Our prep time was very limited. And there's things that go along with space movies that are just difficult because nothing is in the real world there. Everything that we see in every direction has to be made. I can't just go get it at Target. I can't go pick it up from, Home Depot. We've got to make this stuff. So.
If you're listening, Target, we need a space section. Home Depot as well.
Yeah.
Get it out there. Get
That
it
sounds great. I think they'd be surprised how many people would be into that aesthetic. I was watching. I think it was Guardians of the Galaxy 1, and what's the prison name? I bet somebody knows. The Kiln. That's it. And when I saw the Kiln, I was like, well, that doesn't seem so bad. I could probably live in there. And then I was like, the company doesn't look so great, but I was like, I know I could live in that place. It feels cool. So yeah. Laser Team 2, definitely the biggest challenge. Yeah, for sure.
What about you, Stephanie?
My biggest challenge every day is dealing with Max Krumke.
I have no idea what she's talking about.
We share an office wall, He screams at me every day. He bangs on the wall. He belittles me, degrades me, yells at me. He's so mean, you guys.
Security.
I don't know why anybody likes
Should
him.
be talking about this.
No, I would say just managing lots of projects at the same time, because that's what I do. But like we tend to, as a company, do a lot at the same time. Even like this week, we had the load in and everything for the escape room, but also the Fortnite immersion, which Alex handled amazingly. But my brain's still like, And then like the other thing that I really like to do / hate to do, but I love to do it, is find the weird random things that we need that we can't find. So Marcus will come to me and be like, we need 1,000 pots that can be broken with a sword. And I'm like, okay. And then I find these pots in like Wisconsin or something and have them shipped down. And that was for Destructibles.
I felt kind of bad because I think the guy got a surge in sales that he probably wasn't expecting. And then like nothing. It's like crickets chirping afterwards. I was like, well, we do need them.
Totally.
And it is a lot.
Or like the booth from Always Open. That's one of my favorite finds. We have on like a vintage custom booth company to make a pretty yellow booth. But yeah, I like those weird adventure tasks. Those are fun.
Well, I think we should do some questions. We can start on some questions. And I think a little bit. Yeah, at the end. Okay. So, yes.
Hi.
Hello.
I was wondering, what kind of stuff did you guys work on when you were like first starting out in this field?
Spy Kids 4. And I did the bad work. I was getting coffees and getting food, and that was my life for however many months. I don't even remember.
Well, I did. I mean, are you saying like before I got to Rooster Teeth, or still in the film industry, or like prior to that? Because I could go way back, and I was like, I was the guy at the golf course that you were aiming at the driving range. You know that dude that was walking around picking up balls. That was that guy that you were trying to murder out in the field. Yeah, that guy. I did all sorts of fun stuff. I worked at hardware stores. I worked at gas stations. I think when I first moved to Austin, I worked at Breeding Company, which if you're from Austin, you probably know it. It's kind of like a hardware store meets housewares. But yeah, I actually started. The first thing I did in the film industry was Spy Kids 2.
Woo!
Yeah. And I was the props production assistant, right? And I was just sort of the guy that did all the gross parts of everything that you do in our department, which was, hey, we have 1,000 pieces and they all need sanding and priming and then wet sanding to 2,000 and polishing on these wheels. And we have a whole bucket load over there. So we'll see you next week. And so, that's just kind of how it goes. And that was fine because it was good. It gave me the chops that I needed, and it diffused the overwhelmingness of one project. It's like, oh, well, all I've got to do is this one thing. That sounds great. It's like usually they're throwing 100 things at you. So, yeah.
Anybody else get some fun?
I mean, I did a lot of terrible horror movies that you've never heard of.
Yeah.
And then eventually I met Marcus on Predators with Adrian Brody and Lawrence Fishburne, the one that nobody remembers.
Hey, we made some good stuff. What are you talking
I
about?
thought it was pretty good.
I always, you have to sort of rationalize stuff, but our department does some pretty incredible stuff, and a lot of the movies that we've worked on are really bad, and that's just like kind of part of the deal. It's just like you don't always know if it's a good movie. Sometimes they don't let you read the script, or you don't see the script at all. You just go, oh, I don't know, it's this movie, and they need this thing. Oh, okay, what's it look like? Well, they sent me this picture. All right, well, I'm gonna make it in the next couple of days, and we'll send it out, and I don't know. And then a year later, the movie comes out, and you're like,
Maybe it
oh,
comes out.
Do not
They
re-
don't ever
oh, there's
come out, and
there's that
sometimes nobody
thing
ever sees your work.
that I made.
Do not refer to
Like,
Academy
this movie's
Award winner
terrible.
Spy Kids 4 in such a manner.
I think I did Spy Kids 4 as well, but I was in fabrication shop. I think me and Brandon and a sculptor out of LA, we sculpted all the little spaceships they were in, and a bunch of cogwheels and machinery that went on the walls and stuff. I don't know, it was crazy. But yeah, I did a bunch of commercials. I did national TV commercials for a long time. And that's, you know, that's kind of after Troublemaker Studios, me and Steven and all these guys kind of did commercials together, and that's kind of where we sort of solidified the core crew. Was pretty much all these guys I met mostly commercial industry. I guess minus Alex. Alex was one of the first people I met in the industry, so it's cool. It's cool to have you here, man.
Anybody else got a fun one?
I sewed a lot of animal-related things. It was like horse blankets, cat jacket, dog bed, horse sweater. So that was fun, commercial world, and I think Marcus was a part of a couple of those. So
Yeah. Yeah, the commercial world's always crazy.
Awesome. Yeah, let's.
Yeah, you want to move on?
Yeah.
Hey, I was wondering if you guys have a favorite prop or costume or set piece that you've made, either at Rooster Teeth or in the years before that you always remember.
Homo Guy's DVD cover for the failed prop ideas.
Oh God, that's your favorite.
It's the funniest. It makes me laugh every time. It's like
funny.
just after starting here, and I had to Photoshop all of these like random dudes onto like muscle bodies, and just it was really weird.
Just custom fit for Max.
Yeah.
I have a favorite prop. It's in my office right now. It is it's a flight data recorder. It's a black box, and it's just I love it. It weighs a ton, and it's just this big orange clunky box.
Yeah, I was like, it's not black.
Yeah, no, it's not black.
It's orange.
Big and orange. And it's just I don't know. I love it. I didn't know you could buy one of those. So I'm kind of stoked that I have one.
What is there still stuff on it?
There's still like room left on the tape. It's really like it's the film that it all records on is like this silver. I don't know. I've taken it apart a couple times. It's pretty cool.
Let's go down here. Yeah.
I can talk in the meantime.
What is it?
Well, for me, I think that, and that's what I get asked the most, based on, it's the Spaceship for the Predators movie, the one with the Adrian Brody, and I get emails all the time. How do I get a model for that? I was like, well, I'm sorry, I can't give it to you. But yeah, that would be the one. And the one at the Rooster Teeth, I can't talk about it because it's part of a laser team too. So.
Well, and to give some background on Alex, he did a lot of the 3D modeling and visual effects and compositing over at Troublemaker Studios for 18 years. A long time. So if it was a Rodriguez movie and you know. It had intensive effects or compositing, or 3D modeling specifically. It's probably Alex's work. So,
Okay, let's go over here.
Awesome. So I am just kind of starting out in art department here in film sets in the area in Austin, and I work mostly with like prop master, art, set design. But and I'm hopefully going to be trying to apply for your internship here pretty soon. But my question is, what advice do you guys have for people starting out in sets here in Austin specifically?
That's a good one.
it's a hard one.
It's a hard one, but Austin is unlike LA or New York in that it is a relatively small film community and everybody kind of knows each other. It's kind of interesting how there's a group that works on kind of features, there's a group that works on commercials, and once you run into one group, you keep on running into them again and again. Mm-hmm. So it's basically I think it's whenever you get those first jobs or opportunities, really trying to be, helpful, attentive, but not over the top, not too much, not trying to reinvent the wheel, not trying to mess with everything, just be there and be absent at the same time. Be in the shadow until it's I think I need this, and then it's oh.
Well, the easiest way to do that is actually, and you don't have to actually ask questions or ask, or do anything, make any kind of contact. Mainly, it's just about sort of observing what's happening, anticipate someone's needs. I know that sounds really lame, how the hell am I supposed to read this dude's mind, or whatever. But it's kind of like that. You have to sort of look at what's happening on camera, and ask yourself, what's next? What's coming up? What if I look at the call sheet? What's the next scene that's on the sheet that I'm supposed to be going to? Let's go ahead and organize all that stuff, have it sitting ready to go, so when the first AD rolls over from one scene to the next, all you have to do is drop a crate of items and say, everything you need is in here. Go. That's probably the best advice. Also, be really nice to the producers. because they're going to be the ones that hire you the next time.
Yeah, and the
So-
production coordinators.
Yeah, and everyone says like, oh, well, I want to do art department. I got to butter up the prop master. And it's like, oh, yeah, but you know, you need to. The producer is the person who makes the first initial round of phone calls, right? So even if say you know the prop master wasn't somebody you wanted to work for in the future, maybe wasn't the kind of people you wanted to be around, but the producer was really great, and that's a great situation because it means if you did a good job and that producer also feels the same way about maybe that person who's not so easy to work with, then it's easy for you to fall into place and say, hey, you were really great. Let's you know, and then the next thing you know, you're getting that phone call. You know, so like that's how to do it. It's just like you know, be a hard worker and treat everybody like you would want to be treated. Do you know what I mean? You see the same people on the way up as you do on the way down. So
And the other thing, just two places to go. Staffmeup.com, they post a lot of jobs there. And then most states have their own film commission. Texas has one. And so they do post stuff on the hotline. It's like, it's always a mixed bag. You never know what you're going to get. But it is a way to just start meeting people and start working on projects.
Sometimes on the film commission, a lot of out-of-town productions will post on there for a local crew. So while it might not be great for connections, it's usually good for the money.
yeah, and also have a portfolio already made, ready to go. Like so that you know if the opportunity knocks and you're not ready to just be like here, then you know like have that on the ready so that when that opportunity comes along, you have something that you can really put forward.
Okay.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Did y'all have a project that you started on or when the design phase for, something you were really excited for that then got scrubbed, something you really liked?
Oh, sure.
All the
yeah.
time.
I mean, I would say on average, maybe 15% of jobs that come around go away. You do a fair amount of development on them, and then producer comes along and goes, oh, yeah, that one's gone. And you go, oh, well, what happened? I don't know. Someone didn't sign the deal or, you know, whatever. So-and-so doesn't like the script or they thought the joke was bad or, you know. Yeah, it happens all the time. We can even go as far as filming, editing, completely, you know, putting in visual effects, getting it to almost ready to release, and then someone, you know, like creative control, like, you know, Bernie or Matt, just is like, I don't like it, you know, I don't want to release it, so we don't put it out. So, yeah, we have probably a whole host of shorts and small projects that are just sitting there, you know, and probably will never be seen. But usually they're. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to us, you know, because we're the people that are putting the hard work into it. But ultimately, it's, you know, this is their company and this is their content. And if they decide it's not worthy of going out there, then okay, you know, it's okay. We'll on to the next thing. So, yeah.
Yeah. Can't think of any specific project. Yeah. Yeah, there's like I think there's only been one that we made, and that I think that was the only one that hurt, was that we filmed the cheeseburger short. And it was just a little cute short about a cheeseburger, and
Yeah.
never released it. There wasn't really anything wrong with it, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
We don't know where the disconnect was, but
it got weird.
Yeah, it was.
But
somebody had it out for the cheeseburgers.
somebody's anti-cheeseburger over here.
Anti-burger.
But yeah.
Okay.
Most of the other ones, it's kind of like, all right. Like sometimes you're like, yeah, maybe we'll hold off on that one.
Yeah, and we talked about one at the immersion panel. Was anyone at the immersion panel yesterday? Yeah, so we talked about the Fuzz Roda one, the particular immersion, and I thought it was pretty okay, but the rest of the guys were just like, I don't know if this is working out. But yeah, we had a whole bunch of compressed air systems that we were shooting dummies. We were shooting like 30 or 40 feet. But I think he wanted it to be real people. And I was just like, I don't think we can do this to a person. Like, we just don't think we can do this, you know.
There is so many times that we have had to prevent the writers or directors from actively killing themselves and everybody present.
Yeah. Blaine has a frightening amount of disregard for his own face. Like, you'd think that Blaine would that be the one thing.
The eulogy short, they literally wanted to set themselves on fire, like by somebody holding a flaming arrow, and I was like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, we'll just, no, this was the eulogy short was like, they were like, well, we'll just cover, you know, like he showed me a video of like some guy holding fire because he like had some of that things on his hand.
And by the way, every time they reference something to us, it's some kind of multi-million-dollar like setup. Like I remember Free Play when it was still around. They wanted to do like a fight scene with Tyler and Meg and all the guys and everyone on the show, and it's like we had to hire a stunt coordinator to come in and basically say, you guys can't do that.
Yep. There's been so many times being like, shut it down.
Yeah.
You're going to kill yourself.
And I was like, well, that's a great idea, but I don't know if we can do that. I was like, why don't we get someone in to help make the decision for us, because I don't know all about this. So either way, it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have a whole lot of time left, so let's keep on going with these questions.
Which side were we on?
Oh,
this side. Perfect.
So piggybacking off of what Kira had gone off of, I've actually been doing graphic design for 16 years, worked with a couple studios, worked on one movie with Val Kilmer.
Cool.
All those different studios have wanted something different in the portfolio. So what do you guys look for in a portfolio when I send it to you?
Well, I mean, the good part about Rooster Teeth is we have such a broad spectrum of things that we do that I like seeing the variety. I'm not looking for any particular style. I'm actually looking at how well you interpret someone else's style, because that's really what we do. It's this design isn't always what I think is not my aesthetic, so to speak. Like every project has its own thing that goes along with it, and sometimes the design aesthetic is not something that I would want to live in or have in my house, but I've got to at least understand it and be able to put it out there with our twist and our IP, but using the idea of it. So I would say just try to have a little bit of everything. Show how broad your skill set is. Art departments, if you don't, it's great being super focused and having that thing that you're incredible at, and that's special. But it is good to have a little bit of everything in there. Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't hesitate to put a variety of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, Owen wants to contribute to the panel.
Done. Yeah.
Poor fella. So yeah, I wouldn't feel bad about put it all in there, but organize it well. Do you know what I mean?
It's like 150 pages. I don't think you want all that.
Yeah. No,
perfect.
I mean, I would actually suggest that you find someone whose aesthetic that you trust, someone else, that maybe is an artist or a friend that you can trust. Have them go through your site and tell them to be brutally honest with you. Okay. There are going to be pages that don't matter, don't belong. You know what I mean? Pull the stuff maybe that you personally aren't proud of or identify with anymore. Every artist, you move through these stages, right? And as you progress, you can look at last year's work and be like, oh, that looks terrible. What was I thinking? And it means you're progressing and you're changing, and that's great, and that's what you're supposed to be doing. But as you get better, let some of the stuff that maybe you started out in your career that you started off really proud of, but now that you look back, you go, oh, that's not representative of my skill set anymore, and I'm better than that. Yeah. That's the kind of stuff that you can get rid of.
I have no idea what you mean. I've actually always been perfect. It's kind of strange.
Yeah. So that's where I would say, I would, if you have a lot of pages, just organize them well and try to typecast them a little. Put all those genres together. Put all the anime style drawings together. Put all the photorealistic Photoshops together. Put all your fabrications in one page. Make your website well organized, and lots of pages aren't such a bad deal. Some people want to dive in and they want to go deeper than just the surface thumbnail. Yeah. So I'd suggest maybe a website that starts off with just the thumbnail that gives you that hero shot. Like that's the one. And then if people want to dive in, then they can click it and they can look at all the little stuff along the way.
Awesome, thank you.
Sure.
I was actually going to ask something similar along the same lines, except I've learned a great many different skills, and I know it's very different in the film industry because you're not building to last, but I've done everything from construction to artwork. I've done welding, ceramics, some costume design, and all kinds of things. But I don't know what I'm really missing that's really integral to the film industry specifically, because...
Oh, well, I mean, the film industry changes so often. There isn't really anything that's, integral to the film industry. I would say just be honest with yourself and your portfolio, put your best foot forward, put all the stuff that you're most proud of at the front, and like I said, to the other is you sort of lose the stuff that maybe isn't representative, but yeah, I mean, I kind of want that broad skill set. I want to be able to use you in more than one capacity. If I can only use you to do that one graphic design, or then it's like you get a lot. I mean.
So there are places for us Renaissance people.
Oh,
that
sure.
They call the jack
Oh,
of all
absolutely. No,
trades.
we all are. I mean, that whole jack of all trades, master of none thing.
Better than master of
Yeah.
one.
So no, all of us have a whole multitude of things that we do, and depending on the project, it's kind of how we select who's project managing something. It's like, oh well, so and so's really good at this and really good at that, and this project has a lot of that. Let's fit them there.
Cool.
Yeah. So no, be proud of that sort of broad skill set. Yeah.
Well,
Thank you so much.
And also people that are getting into film sets, I think the best way to describe films and how we've kind of learned what we learned is like a film set is like a dance. You don't know all the steps and you gradually learn them, and at first you'll end up really being weird because it's like everybody's gonna be like, oh, they don't know what they're doing. And then you kind of just gradually learn to get all the little things, because it's really all a combination of all these little small bits of information that you get just one project after the next, and it's always something random. So
I would say just be really flexible, because we throw a lot at our artists and things change a lot and things get scrapped and you have to kind of go really quickly. Yeah.
A lot of our department is also food styling, and that comes in handy all the time. We actually ended up buying a bunch of fake food because it came up so often that it was like, well, let's just buy a bunch of fake salads, and then we can just push. If you look at MDB, most of the food,
every salad on MDB or it's almost becoming the ficus. I like it.
That's next year's video.
I think we got time for one more real fast. So.
I was wondering, has there ever been something that's come across your guys' desks that you've looked at and just really wanted to be a part of but haven't been able to because of other obligations? Just like any part of a skit, part of a short, anything like that you've just been like, I really want to do this, and you've almost been hiding the role from other people so they don't do it themselves.
Yeah, it happens all the time. Yeah, I mean, there's so much happening, and it happens all the time. Especially with, the way we work as a core department is if we have one project, then we're all working on the same project. If we have 5 projects, then we all have to split off, and now we're all project managing with a separate crew. So Max will split off and have his own separate crew. Steven will split off and have his own separate crew. So each of those projects that you see typically is project managed by one of these 4 or 5 people. So it happens all the time, and I wanted to do day 5 too, but I couldn't. So I was like, how do we do Laser Team and day 5 and all the shorts and all of broadcast and Let's Play Live and all the other events and RTX? I mean, it goes on for days.
I think also immersion is the most fun, because me and Ashlyn did the Surgeon Simulator one, which was absolutely revolting and almost borderline unwatchable because I thought it was too terrifying.
I love that episode.
So gross. But then it's like
that was
immersion.
payback. That was payback to Michael and Gavin from us, I think. For it's like they've been putting us. They kind of put us through a little bit of hell because they're the unknown factor of immersion, right?
Yeah.
They're the guys we can't control. They're the ones that if we say don't shoot towards the head with the paintball guns, and they still do it. It's like all those guys know that they're not even supposed to aim at the head. So why are they doing it? I don't know. They just do it.
Yeah.
So I was happy to get them dirty.
Immersion's just it's a really fun show, and I think everybody has their own little moments on each immersion. It's just it's kind of where art department gets to play. Well, anything else?
I mean, I'm okay finishing out questions if everyone's cool.
Do one more.
Yeah.
So this is mostly for the people who worked on the escape room for this, but also for everybody. But
The codes are 3, 8, 4.
Yep. Actually, all of them 5. You can use 5 for every single puzzle. It'll work.
1, 2,
What's
3,
your question?
4.
I can only assume that you guys, for other recreational research purposes, have been to other escape rooms like the escape game here in Austin.
Yes.
But what is your favorite thing that you've done in the name of research for a set?
Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, the escape room was pretty fun. That was the one in Congress is really cool.
Yeah,
it
it
they
is
had
really cool.
lasers and stuff. Like, it
yeah,
was
no,
seriously.
I mean, research and development is probably is a huge part of the fun of what we do because you know, if I just had to sit at a desk and do the same thing all the time, I'd be really bored. So each time it's a new set of challenges and sort of struggles and things to learn and overcome. I'm always a sponge. I always want to like learn new things and new processes and learn about new stuff. So yeah, a lot of times they throw these projects that we don't have any personal firsthand knowledge about any of this. So, but I've got to become an expert and be able to put it on camera and make sure that somebody who's maybe an outside expert can look at and feel like they can respect what they've seen. So yeah, that's always a really tough part.
Well, okay.
Oh, I mean, my favorite thing was just going and getting to climb around on an airliner this time around on day 5. We got to go to an airport, and there was an old airplane. I got to, like, climb around in the cargo hold and just kind of explore it. I don't know. It was pretty cool. Like, nobody gets to do that. Are you kidding me? That's pretty cool.
Well, I think we are out of time, but we will be around to chat. But yeah, thank you all so much for coming out today.
Thank you.
Especially this early.
And I do have I have some stuff to give away. If you're willing to stick around, I've got some trivia questions. So
yeah,
woo! I've got some
He's got
license
game.
plates that maybe some of you would be interested in.